In this video, we'll look at animating an object here in our Zombie Toys game. We'll do this to get the feel for the built-in animation tools here in the Unity editor. If you're familiar with a curve editor and a dope sheet from another program like 3ds Max or Maya, for example, you'll feel right at home in these tools. To start, I'm going to bring in a model. I'll browse into the Assets folder and into the Environment folder under Models. In here, I'm going to take the fire truck and drag it into the scene. I'll scroll back a little bit, and I'm going to animate this driving forward and backward. When we animate objects in the Unity editor, we need to open the Animation window and record the animation. I'll go to Window and Animation. As with all of our other windows in the Unity editor, we can take the Animation window and dock it if we need, or leave it floating. I'm going to drag mine by the Animation tab and park it right next to the project. Right now we have no animation because we haven't created any, and what we need to do first is to create an animation clip. As we can see in the center of the animation window, there's a Create button, and it says to begin animating fire truck, create an animation clip. By default, we'll create an animation clip for whatever object or objects we have selected. I'll click Create, and what Unity does is create a new .anim file. This is a separate file saved in the Assets folder wherever that particular asset was that saves the animation for it. This way, if we need, we can sequence these animations in an animator controller, for example. I'm going to name this Fire Truck, and I'll leave it in the Environment folder. Now my animation window allows me to select a property to animate, and we can see as well that at the top of the user interface the play buttons are in red, meaning we are animating something. I'll click on Add Property, and then browse under Transform. You can animate almost anything you want. You can animate position, rotation, scale, materials changing color, lights turning off and on, and even their range changing, for example. I'll go under Position and click on the plus next to it. This will key the X, Y, and Z position of this fire truck. If we open up the fire truck position, we can see we've got position X, Y, and Z, and a keyframe at the start at frame 0 where we are now, and another keyframe automatically created at 1 second. In the animation window, we can add more time if we need, simply by scrolling forward or backward. I'll scroll backwards a bit, and give myself about 3 seconds. We can take keys then, and select them and delete them if we'd like. So I'll take my keys here at 1, and press Command-Delete. Now I'm ready to key this. I'll scrub forward in the animation window to 3 seconds. And then I'll move the fire truck forward on the blue Z-axis. Once we go to a different time and key a property, we'll see that property in the inspector shown in red. My position X, Y, and Z fields have a red background, meaning that that particular property has been keyed. There are two ways to display animation in the animation window, the dope sheet and the curves. Right now I'm in the dope sheet, and what this gives me is a horizontal track view for each of the properties that are animated. This way we can see a bunch of different objects, animations, and move and scale them around as we need. Alternately, we can see this animation in curves. In the curves view, we'll see the keys and the tween frames expressed as lines in a graph. This way we can get to the tangents or handles on those keys and adjust the in and out or left and right as we need, speeding up or slowing down that animation. Right now what we're seeing is that this animation has a linear timing. It's a straight linear tween between the first key at frame 0 and the last at 3 seconds. I'll scrub back and press play here in the animation window. There's my fire truck moving forward in the scene. What we're seeing right now is that this animation defaults to loop, and so it's repeating the animation again, and we can just see the drop down and start again of that curve. If you'd like to isolate down a view here in the animation window, simply click on that property. I'll click on position Z, for example, the only one I've animated, and there's just the Z animation expressed in blue. You can add in a new key at any point, clicking on the Add Key button and adding in a key, or simply changing a value. For example, if I want this to zig a little bit on the X, I'll simply pull it here at about 130. Clicking back on Fire Truck Position shows me now a little bit of a dip in the red X graph, as well as my original animation on the Z. Now when I play this animation, the fire truck has a little bit of a skew to it. I'll add in a little bit of rotation as well. We can add a property at any point and refine that animation at any time, much like any other animation editor. I'll click Add Property, and under Transform, choose Rotation. Note the position no longer appears in this Add Property list because we've already animated the position. I'll click on Rotation, and I'm going to set the starting rotation, pressing E, a little bit to the right on the Y, just a few degrees. Then I'll scrub forward on the timeline, and right about 130, where I've inserted that key on X, I'll rotate it to turn in. Then I'll scrub out to 3 seconds, and I'm going to rotate it back, so the fire truck steers just a little bit. I'll click in my graph and scroll back to view it all. We can also select keys and press F to frame in on them, framing those selected keys. There's that animation on the Y, and what we're seeing here is that there's no animation on the X or Z axes. We can also see in the inspector that the X, Y, and Z fields in rotation now have a red background, again denoting that they are animated. In the dope sheet then, my other keys will show, again showing the keys on a horizontal track for easy adjustment. Right now what we're seeing here in the dope sheet is that I've got some keys at about 120 and others at 130. What I'll do is to take the position keys here at 120 and delete them. I'll right click and choose Delete Keys, and now I just have the rotation keys here at 120 and my original position keys here at 130. We can slide the keys over if we need, matching them up for example, so that that movement is a match, or offsetting them if we need follow through for example. Again, I'll play it, and what we can see is that the fire truck steers in and back over the course of its animation. Now that I've got this animated, I'm ready to adjust it. We can set our samples for the animation window at any frame rate we'd like. Right now I've got my samples set to 60, a default for smooth animation. If you'd like to go up or down, perhaps down to 12 for a more stop motion look or something similar, you can set that. We'll also vary these samples to speed up or slow down an imported sprite animation, but that's outside of this particular video. What we can also see is that right now I'm in my fire truck animation. Dropping down under fire truck gives me the option to create a new clip. What we're seeing then is that at the moment I've got one fire truck animation on this fire truck. We could create a new clip, and we'll see those clips available here in this drop down if we create them. And again, we're creating animation clips that then we'll sequence together in an animator using an animator controller and defining different states and transitions between them. Once you're done animating, you can turn off animation by clicking on the red recording button. Now that that's off, the fire truck defaults back to its position at frame 0, and I'm ready to sequence these together or adjust the animation. If you'd like to add in new animation, you can always click back on that red record button and add in or fine-tune.